Good afternoon. This is Raisa here from CIO News, and we are here for the amazing event Secure Security Now 2023. I have with me Mr. Sunder Krishnan, CIO from Reliance Nippon Life Insurance. Good afternoon, sir, and very warm welcome. It's great to have you here. So, my first question to you would be, how do you develop and implement compliance programs?
I think compliance program is broadly culture driven. It comes from a very effective management culture, and our CEO is so culture driven. He wants compliance in all aspects. Earlier, you used to have black, white, and grey. Black being you don't do it, white you do, and grey you seek legal opinion and somehow manage and make it white and do it. But we're not like that. So even grey is out. So only white. So what is allowed only you do. So it's a very, very challenging times that we are living in terms of compliance. Compliance is catching up. In 11th August 2023, the DPDP Act came into being, and that has created further cultural issues in terms of compliance to that act. And non-compliance invites so many fines and reputational risks, more importantly. So culture is important and it's driven. So it's based on policies which is approved by board. Then there are processes to implement the policies. Then there is a lot of training to employees to understand the compliance program and ensure that the stakeholders like customers, shareholders, employees, vendors comply with the compliance standards, compliance culture, compliance policy, and also best practices in the industry.
My next question is, how do you develop corrective action plans to address compliance problems?
Any problem that we have is risk driven. So we identify the risk in advance. It could be identified self by employee. That is through the RCSA, risk control, self compliance. It could be addressed by an audit, externally done by an expert. It could be identified internally and by internal audit. It could be identified by the risk management functionaries by way of a risk review. So we have layers and layers of identification, and everybody is challenged to think, are they compliant? The compliant rules come up in systems, process, papers, technology, training, and it's compulsory. For instance, information security training is mandatory for every employee.
Okay.
If they do not answer those 15 questions, they will not be able to mark attendance, no salary. So it's very, very regulatorily driven, and it's very important to identify compliance issues in advance and fix them beforehand. We were fined a lot, say about 7 years back. Last 5 years, not even a warning. No caution, no warning, no fine from the regulators. So it was a tough change, and this doesn't happen through person. It happens through management culture and the people who are there in the organization. They believe they need to comply. That's how it is.
So, how do you ensure that employees receive training on compliance issues?
So whatever is mandatorily required, we drive it through portal. And as I mentioned, somebody has to log in. He has to first finish the program. It comes in the portal. He has to go through it, answer the questions. Then only he will get attendance and salary. That is one way. Other way is through circulars, education, training program, call experts. That's the other way. Third way is through audits, risk reviews. If you do not handle the risk review or the audit well, obviously you will be questioned a lot. And there is a lot of music to that. And therefore, data is driven, processes are driven, systems are driven. More and more reliance is based on systems. If you auto-comply through system, it's better. And that's why I'm here actually. We were original buyers of Seclor in way back, at least 10, 15 years back, 10, 12 years back.
Okay.
And it sort of forces employee to think, what is transferring, is it confidential, market confidential, and ensure that the data remains confidential in the whole transport path of the data. What is auto-driven, system-driven is better than manual. We are trying to ensure as and when possible, more and more auto-driven controls are there than manual controls.
Okay.
But of course, people are important.
How do you determine the root cause of compliance problems?
Root cause comes from the pressure to perform.
Okay.
You are pressurized to achieve sales, you are pressurized to achieve profits, you are pressurized to achieve the margins. You are pressurized to achieve targets. Especially insurance is highly target driven. Everything has targets. And therefore, if target is not achieved, obviously the employee will be pulled up.
Right.
And therefore, he succumbs to pressures. He buys business from the market blindly sometimes. He also he tries to missell so that the customer buys. He loses patience with these systems, process, technology, etc. But if you push in a very proactive way, in a very transformative way, understand the psychological problem of the user and then handle compliance, it's better. And therefore, it's cultural driven, it's awareness driven, it's training driven. An employee, when he joins the organization, he or she is taught that it is a patient business, it's a long term business. You will have to think 10 years, 15 years ahead and then plan. And if you do not do that, how will you expect customer to think 10 years, 15 years? That is training driven. It's driven in the psychology, and therefore there is a lot of culture behind it and training behind it. The trainings are compulsory for agents, trainings are compulsory for sales employees. The product training is mandatory regulatorily. Again, it's pushed through the same means I explained earlier. And therefore, employee is forced to perform in the right manner or a compliant manner. Be patient, and the patience really pays. We also have a road show, the CEO show, where all good employees are honored. So there is an award given, and this is publicized across the country. And so there are a lot of clappings done for a good guy or a good employee. And what the good employees achieved, it's actually seen in the screen by everybody. Said this guy can do it, why you can't do it? The people are questioned. So these targets are again publicized, handled well, training handled well, motivation handled well, and a lot of processes go behind it, and a lot of structure goes behind it, training goes behind it. A lot of thoughts are laid on which product to sell, in which month, how do you identify the product. The product report comes every day to your screen, in the night.
Right.
In the morning you get up and then you read that first and find out, okay, this is a deflection here and so we have to correct it. And then there are correction measures taken.
Yes.
So compliance is driven that way.
So my last question to you, how is the collaboration with Seclor, and what is the key takeaway that you have from this event today?
I think Seclor helps us to think of risk in a digital manner. Basically, they have ensured digital rights management. So today, every day, when I open up my email and first thing that I see is Seclor logo. And I have to press escape if there's no confidential information. And if it is confidential, I do not press escape. And then ensure the email is handled in a very sensitive way. So Seclor has partnered business in such a manner proactively that you are influenced to think in the right way and ensure that data is consciously marked confidential, public, private, internal, based on the policies. And so governance is proactively ensured in a very cultural manner.
Okay.
And there is no compulsion on the employee to classify confidential. If I want to escape, I can escape. So it makes you think. And now, of course, now we are at a time of DPDP Act. Probably the journey has to be different because the fines are 250 crore for one fine. We could be even fined 600, 700 crores. So maybe we also have to look at how do I compulsorily classify. We are looking at options like that, and I think even Seclor is on that journey. And so maybe we would have two kinds of solutions. One solution which is proactive, not forceful, not compulsory. One solution which is forcefully driven. Like for instance, the organization itself handles what is confidential, what is sensitive beforehand, and then forces the employee to classify it as confidential and sensitive. Then the compliance is better. There is always a choice between option and force. You will have to culturally handle it. It's very sensitive.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your valuable time, sir, and thank you for the information. Yeah.